Laura, I am fascinated with this character. You do a lot of historic paintings for museums and hospitals and big institutions, right?
Right.
Who do we have here? Very distinguished guy.
Well, for the last 5 or 6 years, I have been commissioned by the University of Maryland Medical Center in Baltimore, or maybe it's better known as the School of Medicine in Baltimore. And it's on Lombard Street, and there's a historic hall there called Davidge Hall. And in the hall, you walk in and they have portraits of the founders and the deans over the years, because it was founded back in 1807. So they have commissioned me over the years to replace or even to paint portraits of some of the deans that never had their portrait done. And this gentleman, his name was Robley Dungleson.
Robley Dungleson.
How do you like that name? And
Quite a bon vivant.
I know. He was British, and he came to the States, and he was the dean at the School of Medicine in 1834 and 1836. Now, the interesting tidbit, trivia about him.
He was well dressed.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the work, you know, I had to make all these colors up because the photo of the engraving that they sent me was all I had to work from, and it's black and white. Naturally, back then they didn't have color.
He would be very pleased. He'd be very pleased.
I think so. I thought he would look good in red. He's a rather dashing fellow.
Now he might object to the
To the gray?
Oh no, I thought that was kind of highlights like ladies have in their putting blonde in their hair.
Well, but
Well, actually, maybe he
is
did.
a highlight. He wanted to be a highlight. Anybody who looks like that, they want to be the highlight.
You're right.
Well,
You're right.
The interesting thing about him, he was a personal physician to President Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, and Andrew Jackson, 4 presidents. And he was at Jefferson's bedside on the day he died on the 4th of July.
No wonder he's dressed so well.
Yeah, really. But I've enjoyed doing these. I call them my old dead doctor dudes. Now that's an affectionate title.
You were hired, according to the starting point, you were hired to do a portrait of a historic event that took place in Dorchester County?
Right, last November.
Will you have that?
November the 20th.
Here we go.
A group there
Let's show it
hired
to the
me
camera.
to redo this. Now this is a photo of and it's not a very good one, but of a very large painting that hangs in the Capitol building in D.C. And it is of Lincoln and his cabinet in 1862 reading the Emancipation Proclamation. And that set the ball rolling to set the slaves free, for those that don't know that. Well, few people know that there was a woman on his cabinet, and in this original painting, the artist was not allowed to portray the woman because of her gender. So, he did not totally leave her out, though. He has a chair here. And you can see there's a red scarf on the chair. And Lincoln promised to recognize Anna Ella Carroll later on after the war was over, but he never got that chance because we all know he was assassinated. And so this...
So you've done it.
Anna was from Dorchester County, and I'm from Dorchester County, and I'm a woman, and so they commissioned me to do this, to redo this painting, and to put Anna in her rightful place in her chair. And so that.
And how large is that painting?
My painting is 3 feet by 6 feet.
6 feet wide. That's a big painting. And where is that now? Where does that hang?
It hangs right now. It's in the back of the gallery here because we're waiting. We're setting up the logistics and the legalities for it to go on tour, because they want the story to get out to educate not only school children but all of us. Very few people knew this story.
I didn't know it.
It's a wonderful story.
It's a great story.
It's a heartwarming story, and you can Google her and go on the website Anna Ella Carroll and find out more about her. I think, but the painting took me a solid 4 or 5 months of, and I mean intense painting, to finish it, because you have all these faces and heads and hands and shoes and chairs and books. And
did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Did a great job.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of your other portraits.
All right. I also do pastel, portraits in pastel, and totally different look, flatter, finer, softer, and many people liked their children done in pastel, and actually pastel was my first love before I went on to oil. Now here's a couple samples, this young boy, and then here's another commission I was to do, him and his brother, and it's a little older. Now this is called a vignette, and what's interesting about different about a vignette as compared to the doctor here, The doctor has a finished background. And the Anna Ella Carroll Lincoln cabinet, of course, has finished background, books and everything. But a vignette just shows maybe the canvas color or the paper color. And it usually has more of a fading out and like a sketch look.
You have a great signature too.
Oh, thank you. I worked on that a long time.
I'll bet you did. Now tell me, everybody that's watching this is saying, but how much does it cost? Give us an idea.
Well, this is a mini size, and all three of us have our own pricing, but they're pretty close. And so most of the mini sizes, the least cost, most of the paintings, their lowest cost are about $1,200, and they go up. According to size, according to medium, how much is involved, how many people are involved. So you can usually plan on around $1,200 going on up and way up into the thousands, of course.
And then, of course, you can get giclées of any size.
You can get giclées, and actually this is a giclée of a pastel.
Wow.
You would never know it.
I would have never known that.
It really does convert nicely.
Tell us about some of the other portraits.
Okay, well, one I'd really like to talk about is one that's over here.
Okay, just grab it and bring it back.
Okay. Don't know if you can you see this okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is a portrait of my mother and my father, Dorothy and LT.
This is Dorothy, who we just spoke with.
This
is
Dorothy,
your
who
mother.
we just spoke to. And this was a different time, of course, in her life. This was back in the 40s when my dad had just come home from the war. And he was on the last boat to arrive in America. He didn't get home till May of 46. And so he and Mom had been writing and keeping in contact. And he came, when they met, he said, okay, Dorothy, I'm going to be, I'll be, stationed some other places. So maybe in a couple months we'll get married. And my mom says, no, not a couple months, not a couple weeks, now. We are getting married now. And they were married 5 days later. And so this is a portrait that I did from a very old photograph of them. They were out on the Chesapeake Bay that first year of marriage. And I think it really portrays the happiness. I call it the greatest generation, my parents. Because the 40s, I think, really was.
Yeah, it sure was.
And now this is called doing a very controlled palette of, I only used about 5 or 6 pastels. So it's almost monochromatic, meaning there's not a lot of different colors in here because I wanted to capture an old photo look, see. And some people might really enjoy having their ancestors done like this in the old sepia tone photography.
You have one?
I have one up there too of my husband, and he was in the Marine Corps. And I have Vietnam behind him and the places that he was stationed in Vietnam.
Wow, that's great.
So it can be quite a legacy that you can pass
This is
down.
also your mother there?
No,
Oh.
this is a friend, Pat her name is, and she loved to be out in this garden, and she's a Southern lady, and I call it Pat in the Hat.
And then tell us about the other ones.
All right, now this gentleman, this is a sketch of another old dead Dr. Dude for the University of Maryland School of Medicine, and his name was Julian Chisholm, and he was during the Civil War. The sketch, this is a preliminary sketch, but of course the finished portrait hangs in Davidge Hall in Baltimore. So as you can see, we're all blessed to be able to do something we're passionate about and we truly love, and that is to portray the human form on canvas.
You certainly do. You author, and it's so special that people from these institutions from all over the country are coming to Easton, Maryland to get the best old Dr. Dudes painted by you.
And other people.
And other people.
They're called legacy portraiture, which is a genre all to itself. But we hope that people will come in and see our original work, and that they would want to commission someone to have someone painted, a loved one, a pet.
And you don't mind if people come in and just look over your shoulder while you're painting?
No, they're so welcome. In fact, if I was an artist roaming around here and I didn't have this gallery, and I knew artists were working in here painting, I would be peeking in that back door all the time.
But they don't have to peek, they can come in.
That's right.
And then on first Fridays, you have a reception here, right? All the galleries do.
The first Friday of every month, all year round. We found it's very popular. From 5 to 9, the galleries are open in town, and at your leisure, sometimes there's a featured artist This month we're featuring our Russian artist, you know, and another month we may feature Kevin Fitzgerald. One time we featured the three of us. Last year we had a portrait show. So if we do feature that artist, then they're there that night. We have food, wine, music.
It's great fun.
Dancing girls and boys.
And people don't have to buy anything. They can just come in and look.
We don't have to.
Right.
Of course, we're always hoping.
Right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Come see us.
Okay.
Okay. So here we have the original Troika of Easton.
It's wonderful being in the Troika. We started out as a team of three because of the name, the Greek name. And to me, to be around all this fine art is traditional fine art in the gallery, always. Nothing else but traditional fine art. And it's so wonderful being around it all the time, every day. And I've made friends with some of the finest artists that I can just imagine.
That's great. And
out in the main gallery, you know, we have 30-some artists that we represent their work and we sell it. But as you see, you're back in our studio where we paint portraits on commission. And so, from the Troika Gallery, here's the client. Here's her portrait. Come get one.
Isn't that cool?
that is funny. That's good. That's good. This is Will Howard with Team Troika signing out.